Hey guys, so I don't want this video to be too long, even though there's like a decent amount of information here, but is balding cured? Short answer, yes. But there's a catch, as always. But before we dive into it, everything that I present in this video is located at app intrepidinnovations.tech, where I put all of my information. I also offer consulting from the perspective of a scientist regarding your health. But with that being said, I am not an MD, and the information provided is just for educational purposes only. Okay, so let's dive into it. What is balding? Well, to summarize, it's basically when this molecule DHT, this is covering 90% of balding. Dihydrotestosterone interrupts the cycle, the normal hair cycle of a hair follicle, and there's the growth phase, which is the like anagenic, the catagenic, and the telogenic phases. It pretty much blocks the growth phase, the anagenic, this specific molecule. Which also leads to down the stream lines of VEGF not getting expressed, and we know that VEGF gets expressed because of mRNA analysis plates. Regarding male pattern baldness, we already discussed DHT. How this is the genetically prone individuals who are affected. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so I'm sure you already know, like, if this is something you're concerned with, you don't want to know too much about that. You want to know, hey, is there an easy to go solution to this problem of balding? Well, there's several different approaches. First, we're going to go over the cheap version of a solution that is effective, but there's drawbacks, and I personally would not do that. Then we're going to go over the new emerging things in the field. And, some of those might be true, might not be true, but we'll go over some of the emerging things. Then we're going to go over things I'm sure you don't know that are highly effective but pricey, such as, the glow stack of peptides, etc., where you can solve the problem outright depending on your budget. Like, you will solve the problem. You just need donor hair. That's the one caveat, is that you need donor hair, from the back of your head or whatever, for a hair transplant. But there is some ways to get your own hair production up that's unproven at this time that you may or may not want to experiment with. But for the most part, this right here, like getting hair transplant, will solve the issue. And then I'm going to show you how you can enhance that if you take that approach where you will get good results. And then finally, we're going to look at general lifestyle things to keep your head healthy, just things that will keep good vasculature for your hair. And then we're going to go into highly speculative stuff at the end. So one thing you want to consider is, when we do get to the health section, is that vasculature to the hair follicle is very important. So you want to be healthy even though this DHT, you're genetically prone. If you're balding, you're genetically prone to DHT. You still want to be healthy because you need this vasculature, because there is also age-related hair loss. But that's also less of an issue. It's mostly due to the genetic predisposition. All right, so let's go into the cheap garbage solutions, which in my opinion are garbage solutions. I've heard some people say, hey, this is it works for me and I haven't had any side effects. But me personally, I would not do these, particularly finasteride. Maybe midoxanil might be a decent approach, but these are the two things that people do. And you can see that it does get results. Like this male patient, 53, struggled with age-related hair loss, and he used midoxanil, cetrotizolene 1%, and finasteride. Well, so this may or may not work for you, but this is the cheap solution. These are mostly inexpensive materials that you can get with a prescription. Like the reason I don't like finasteride personally is because it does reduce DHT taken, or it reduces the DHT, but it also has a effect on libido. Like, that's a side effect. Like, as a man, personally, I would rather go bald than lose my libido. Like, what's the point? Like, you're trying to be attractive, but why are you trying to be attractive? Like, unless you're, gay, well, but still, or, that would make you unattractive. I don't know. Like, personally, I feel like that would not make a good trade-off. Like, losing, like, you want to be attractive so that you can get laid, right? Like, that's the point. Like, to the women or men, like, whatever your angle is. And you don't, like, so if you want to be attractive, why lose your sex drive? Now, if, many people have taken it and they said that they have not lost their sex drive, but personally, I would just not even touch it just because of that. All right, so let's go into, hey, this is exciting. This is emerging new stuff that may or may not be true. So this was announced just like a couple days ago. And you can see the kind of results that they're talking about here from class Clasoterone. I don't know much about this molecule. Clasoterone. This is the newest male pattern baldness solution that's circling on the news cycle on whether or not this works. I remain skeptical, but you can see the pictures, right? If this is the results you get. You can actually notice a difference, and this may, this is only 7 months in, so maybe if you go for a year or 2 years, this molecule could be effective. Regarding this study, it was put out by a company whose stock did surge after they put it out, and the reason why I'm a little skeptical is because there was 2 studies, and they reached statistically significant endpoints for target area hair count. So what they did is they put a tattoo point and a little square and looked at the reference point. And they got 500% improvement compared to placebo. Well, guess what? 500% compared to nothing is, you can say 1,000 or 10,000. If you multiply by 0, you're not getting anywhere. So you got a 500% compared to placebo. And then there was another study where they got 168%. So, I mean, that's not what this is not saying is that there was 5 times more hair or twice as much hair. But, like, let the image speak for itself. You can get an idea of how effective this is based on this image. And this is probably the most successful hair picture that there is because they're trying to represent their product. So this is the best you would kind of get from this study. So, take that with a grain of salt. But remember, all the information in this video is available at this website. So you can click on these. You can go investigate further anything I talk in the video just directly by interacting with this board. All right, and so then there's another one, Centella acetica, and I've heard that this is a possible unreliable source study in China, and you can see it looks like edited videos, but I don't know if I believe in this either because you're talking about 2 months and it's you see this rapid hair growth, and this is also a common molecule type thing, and there's a lot of studies that are questionable that come out of China. But if you want, you can click on these links and it'll take you right to the study. Whether or not they're fabricating information or not, who knows? But there is a lot of studies that come out of China or that are not the most reliable, and this is another one where what they did is they did SDS to stimulate epithelial hair follicle stem cells. This is another China study that may or may not be reliable. You can come to the website and click the link if you want to investigate that. But SDS here is a sodium dodecyl sulfate, which is an irritant for the skin, which leads to the immune system response. And, they lead to this whole pathway where, from the image, it looks like this might be something that's maturing or coming to fruition if it's true. So that's the emerging stuff. Now let's get into stuff that most assuredly will work. Well, guess what? Hair transplants really do work. You go to Turkey, you get your you get your head analyzed, and you come out beautiful on the other side, as long as you got your donor hairs. Now, the secret that I'm going to reveal in this video that no one else has possibly mentioned, or at least is on the cutting edge, is if you do this is not medical advice, you might want to include this, because what this does is it's the glow stack, it's peptide stack, it's injectable. You can get it for research purposes only. And what you would do to your animal that wants to grow hair, is you would inject this stack of these this concoction of these peptides, because what they do is they help do establish angiogenesis. So you may want to do it topically or through just injection, but it will help you heal and get better results than just this guy. This guy had great results, but he didn't use this because this is hardly anyone knows hey, if I do this and I do the other, I'll multiply my results. Like, you'll get the best results, because this is all about healing and establishing angiogenesis and helping those cells proliferate and survive. Know the risks with the glow stack, but there's been no adverse reports that we know of. But there's also been no proofs that it's safe, right? But there's also no proofs that it's dangerous, and thousands of people use it. So that's the position you take when you do research molecules. But the most effective part in that is the GHKCU peptide, which is about collagen management and angiogenesis. It helps establish, your cells communicate and establish the pathways to reconstruction. And you may even want to do, there's also something called the glow stack. This is glow, which includes KPV, and KPV also prevents scarring. But I don't know, that would be a more I don't know if I would do that. Maybe topically do glow. But with this, I would do injectable. I would do injectable glow. I'd probably do topical glow, because glow, which includes KPV into these three peptides, what it does is it helps collagen management as well. It lowers inflammation and allows for a more steady construction of cell tissue, meaning that there's less scarring. So it's probably a more smoother effect. I would also talk to my doctor in Turkey or whatever about including this. But me personally, I would get this done, and I would go and get glow if I was doing it. BPC, TB500, and GHKCU together is the holy trifecta of healing. And we've seen studies, lots of studies, specifically from the GHKCU component for hair growth. You could see right here that this is comparing to midoxanil, using GHKCU as a solution instead of midoxanil. And you could see that right here, you could see all the treatments are all about the same, and this is the one that didn't get treatments for evaluating new hair growth. And this is in a short cycle. They didn't test this on this particular study. They didn't test it on fully bald mice. They just did it on hair recovery over a short period of time, new hair follicle formation. And you could see that you got similar results based on this graph. So GHKCU is doing something with hair. You can actually see another study here where you can actually see with your eyeballs. After week 24, you can see a significant increase in follicle production using this GHKCU. Because it's a collagen management peptide, so it makes sense that it's helping with the formation of hair. And then this is anecdotal evidence. A lot of people saying it works. They did micro injections on site, but this is anecdotal. I wouldn't count that as the best evidence. But there are people in the hair care industry that are trying this out recently. You can check out this guy, see what results he gets in a couple months. He just tried this recently. Lance Liberty, CEO of Juvenex. I'm not associated with them at all or anything. And, what he's doing is he's using this tool, the Juvesonic device, which I'm actually curious. I might actually investigate if there is, how this device works. But this could be applied to other things, not only hair, but it could also be applied to your skin using something like glow. You could use something like glow plus this ultrasonic device to deliver it to your skin. And I'm sure this would be, something that people would want to test for beautifying themselves. You could probably get rid of wrinkles with such a setup where you have this device that delivers this mixture ultrasonically to under the dermis, enabling deep serum delivery. and and then you can get to the results you want. You could put these molecules directly where you want them instead of injectables. So possible way to even enhance even more your results of. You wouldn't want to mess with new follicles, but so I would do the injectable still. But if your hair's already healthy and you wanted to experiment like this guy is, he's using that device on his head directly to see if it can stimulate new hair growth as it did in these studies. So follow him to see how those results come about. So that's the most assured thing I could tell you about the actual cure. This is the actual cure. Here, let me use a pen. Getting a hair transplant and then including this stack as an injectable and then doing it topically as Clo, that's going to give you results. Like, let's be honest. You just need donor hair on the back of your head. All right, and then finally, general health considerations. You want to massage your head because of, as we said before, you want to stimulate. First of all, it feels good. So just massage your head every once in a while. It reduces stress, and you can do it in the sauna. And you want vasculature to be stimulated. It allows for resource delivery. It's just basic health to your scalp. We also know that the sauna itself helps capillaries because your capillaries expand from the heat exposure. So this is a resource development, resource delivery as well. So for general health, you want to be doing sauna. Be careful, ladies, because your hair, this woman complained about how sauna affects her hair. So you might want to cover your hair itself to protect it from the heat, but you do want your head to get exposure to the heat for that stimulation. We do know that red light therapy is also good for your mitochondria. Remember that mitochondria and chloroplasts, they share evolutionary paths, where a light absorbs them. At least there's evidence that this particular red light, 630 nanometers as well as 810. You can get these devices. They do actually have evidence showing that they help your skin, but they also help your hair. It's good light for you because it stimulates your mitochondria. They absorb these particular wavelengths. And you can see, it's not like the cure-all, but it is mild improvements. So you might want to consider, but these are expensive devices, so that's something to consider, like thousands of dollars. Something that would probably be far more effective is just taking that money and getting a hair transplant, and then getting a glow stack injectable as well as Clo. And trust me, like the results on that would be awesome. All right, and then finally, wild speculation time. For those, everything I do is in the context of longevity. That's why I became a scientist. We're going to talk about FOXO4 dry. This removes senescent cells, and you can see the results from here. This is just age-related decline, and this is the same. This mouse is the same. These two mice are the same age, and just this is something I'm looking into. Let's put it this way: if I was 80 years old, I'd YOLO into FOXO4 dry, and I would also do something like epitalin. So what this would do is clean out your senescent cells. Then I'd do epitalin to extend my telomeres, and then I would do things like SS31, which is repair my mitochondrial membrane. And then after I did all of that, I would do I would also include in the stack thymosin alpha 1, which would help boost my immune modularity, and then doing thymosin alpha 1 together with epitalin, that helps. There's an 80% reduction in all-cause mortality, so those are the kind of things I'd be doing on top if I was older. But yeah, so this is the wild speculation time. If you're the Wild West kind of guy, be careful with this stuff. This is powerful stuff, but it would remove senescent cells, and it literally restores youthfulness. Now, keep in mind that being youthful will not solve the root cause DHT. So that's why the ultimate solution comes back to, you're just going to have to get hair from somewhere that is resistant to those receptors from your donor sites. But potentially you could just, if you wanted to skip all this and see what the results of this are, you can get a dermal device to deliver glow on site and see if that will stimulate it. But that's more speculative. I don't think it'll make new hair. I mean, it will make angiogenesis, and it does stimulate stem cells. So maybe it would hypothetically stimulate new hair formation, but you'd still be genetically predispositioned for DHT. So the only solution really comes back down to this. And as we discussed in the video. All right, guys, so hopefully that covers this topic very well for you. I did run through a lot of stuff. I don't even know how long I went, print for a decent amount of time. But yes, you can find all this information at intrepidinnovations.tech. And if you want to join the community, you can join the Patreon. And I do from the perspective of a scientist, consulting. All right, later, guys.